poor single mom fell asleep on a CEO's shoulder in the subway. What happened next shocked everyone. New York City moved as it always did. Fast, loud, relentless. Car horns echoed down tight avenues. Voices clashed on busy sidewalks. And somewhere, below the screech of subway trains cut through the underground hum, in the middle of it all stood Emma Carter. On the corner of a Queens intersection, she clutched a paper bag of leftover pancakes from her double shift at Manny's Diner. Her other hand wrapped protectively around the sticky fingers of her 4-year-old son, Oliver. "Hold tight, baby," she said softly, brushing a golden strand from her damp forehead. Wrinkled uniform, worn sneakers, and tired eyes told a longer story, one of long nights and quiet sacrifices. "I'm hungry," Oliver mumbled, tugging at her hand. "I know, sweetheart. We'll eat these on the train." "Okay, it's almost bedtime," haunted with sleepy reluctance. Emma smiled, kissed his forehead, then pulled out her phone, the screen lighting up with a new message from her aunt. "Emma, your mom's fading fast. You need to come now." Her breath caught. Her mother, Theon person who had always been her safe place, was slipping away. Emma had not seen her in almost 2 years. Life had gotten in the way. Work, bills, survival. Now she might be too late. With trembling fingers, she texted back, "I'm coming, be there soon." Moments later, they were descending into the subway station. Oliver nodding off on her shoulder. Emma juggled the pancake bag, her purse, and his weight as they boarded the fine, finding a quiet car near at the back. It was just past midnight. Only a few scattered passers sat in silence. Emma slid into a corner seat and cradled Oliver on her lap, his small breaths warming her neck. Her back ached, her legs throbbed, but her heart carried the heaviest weight. Of all, station after station passed in a blur. Somewhere near Roosevelt Island, Emma gently laid Oliver on the seat beside her, covering him with her coat. Exhausted beyond reason, she leaned right, and without realizing it, let her head fall against the man seated next to her. She didn't notice him, but he noticed her. Liam Callahan had boarded at Bryant Park, fresh from a late dinner with investors. He wore a tailored navy suit, collarundone tablet in hand, calm, composed, unreadable. When he felt her head rest against his shoulder, he turned just slightly. A woman, young, clearly exhausted, blondie hair messy, and face drawn from fatigue. A child beside her, sleeping soundly. Liam studied her for a moment. Then, gently, he reached into his jacket and pulled out a silk handkerchief, folding it and sliding it between his shoulder and her cheek. He did not move. A cross-car, an older woman, watched with quiet admiration. A student nearby raised his phone, subtly snapping a photo and smiling to himself. No one spoke, but everyone noticed. Liam remained still for the entire ride. As the train neared Queensboro Plaza, Emma stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, and realization struck as she lifted her head. "Oh my gosh," she gasped, sitting up. "I'm so sorry. Didn't mean to." "What's all right?" Liam said softly, a faint British lilt in his voice. "You looked like you needed it." Emma flushed, eyes dropping to her lap. "Still, thank you." He smiled, warm but reserved. No harm done. The train came to a screeching halt. Emma quickly gathered her things, scooping Oliver into her arms. Before stepping off, she paused. "Really? Thank you." Liam nodded, steady and calm. As Emma disappeared into the night, she did not know his name or his story. Booch would remember the stillness of that moment, his kindness, his shoulder, the quiet grace of a stranger when the world had grown too heavy, and so would everyone else who had watched it happen. Emma jolted awake as the train came to a stop. Lifting her head abruptly from the stranger's shoulder, I'm so sorry," she stammered wide. "I didn't mean to. I must have dozed off. I'm really sorry." The man turned toward her, his green eyes calm and kind. "You looked exhausted, Hesed. I didn't mind." Emma blinked, surprised. People in this city rarely had patience, especially on the subway, especially at this hour. "It's been a long day," she murmured, brushing hair back into her ponytail. "If figured," he said with a faint smile. She gave a sheepish laugh. "Thanks for not getting mad or waking me up." You needed the rest more than I needed the space, he replied simply. The train screeched as it reached its final stop. Emma shifted, gently lifting her son Oliver into her arms. The boy stayed sound asleep, his small head pressed into her shoulder. You've got your hands full? The man observed as he stood. Yeah, Emma said, trying to coach to the hospital before visiting hour's end. Family emergency. My mom, she said quietly. She's not doing well. His expression softened. I'm sorry. Emma nodded, adjusting her bag over her shoulder. They stepped. Off the train, into the dimly lit station, the Sidi Bouzidabov, but down here it was quiet, eerily still under flickering lights and the scent of old concrete. The man glanced at her, then spoke, casual, but certain. I've got a car waiting outside. Let me give you a ride, Emma turned to him startled. Oh, I can't. Thank you, but that's I didn't even know you. He met her gaze without flinching. You're carrying a sleeping kid at midnight after what looks like a long shift. You don't have to do this alone. She hesitated. Everything about her screamed caution. Years of struggle had trained her to expect conditions, catches or consequences. But something in his voice, calm, sincere, eased the tension in her chest. Okay, she said softly, but only if it's not out of your way. Outside, a sleek black sedan waited at the curb. The driver opened the door silently, masled into the warm leather seat, Oliver still dozing against her chest. The man followed and settled beside her. She let out a quiet breath. Like this? She asked, gesturing at the car. Most of the time? How? What do you do? He smiled faintly. Business. A little bit of everything. Vague, but she didn't push. I'm Emma, she said after a beat. He looked at her more closely now, then extended his hand. Liam, he shook it, his grip firm, warm, steady. Oh, Liam, thank you. For all of this, he nodded like it was the most natural thing in the world. When they pulled up to the hospital, Emma turned toward him. I can walk from here. Really? You should stay nearby, he said gently. It's late. You need rest. Can't afford a hotel, she blurted before she could stop herself. Liam didn't react. He just leaned forward, quietly spoke to the driver, then sat back. Minutes later, the car pulled up to a small, clean hotel block from the hospital. The driver stepped out and returned with a key card. Emma looked at him confused. What did you just do? Booked your room, Liam replied, then handed her a card from his pocket. Emma's eyes dropped to the raised lettering. Liam Callahan, Chief. Executive Officer, Callahan Global Holdings. Her breath hitched. This wasn't just a stranger on the subway. This was that Liam Callahan, billionaire, investor, Forbes cover story. She looked back at him, stunned. You're the Liam Callahan? He nodded calmly. Emma could barely get the words out. But why would someone like you? He cut her off gently. Because tonight you looked like someone who deserved a little grace. She clutched Oliver tighter, the emotion catching in her throat.
Huge.
Voice trembling. On the other end of the line, he was quiet for a beat. Then off course you did? Emma laughed through the tears. Thank you. You did this, Emma. Hesed. Not me. But she knew that was not entirely true because for the first time, a long time, someone had seen her, really seen her, and reminded her Thatch was more than her struggle. And that was the first step toward becoming someone she had almost forgotten she could be. The days began to find a quiet rhythm. Emma still visited her mother, still chased deadlines for Callahan Media, still balanced life as a single mom. But now, woven into the chaos, were moments with Liam. It started with coffee, a text. There's a place near the park, quiet, strong lattes. Want to escape for a bit? Emma hesitated, then said yes. They sat by a window in a quiet cafe. Sometimes they talked, sometimes they didn't. But the silence between them never felt uncomfortable. Liam listened. Rial listened. He looked at her. Like her words mattered, like she mattered. She told him about her mother, reading to her at night after working 3 jobs. How she once dreamed of writing novel Sander a pen name, too afraid to believe in her real one. Liam shared about his childhood in England, how his parents' silence, taught him to grow up fast, about feeling invisible at a boarding school full of sons of powerful men. He did not share everything, but he shared now. A week later, they met again, this time at the park. Oliver ran in dizzy loops around them as Emma and Liam sat on a bench with coffee. "He likes you," Emma said, nodding to her son. Liam smiled. "He asked if I was a Terexer, a businessman SARS. I told him I'm still figuring it out." Emma laughed, really laughed, and Liam turned to her, smiling back. "You know," she said softly, "I didn't think people like you existed." He raised an eyebrow. "You're rich, calm, still human." He chuckled. "The calm's a myth. I've just learned how to hide the chaos." She studied him. "Do you hide everything?" "Used to," he said. "Then a tired waitress fell asleep on my shoulder and made hiding feel unnecessary." The silence that followed was full, not awkward. She didn't know what this was becoming, but it felt real, gentle, maybe dangerous in how deeply it pulled at her. As fall deepened, the nights turned colder. One evening after dinner, Liam walked Emma and Oliver home. The boy was fast asleep in his arms by the time they reached the hotel. "I can take him," Emma whispered. But Liam shook his head and carried Oliver inside, laying him gently on the bed. "He's lucky," Liam said, watching the boy sleep. "Why?" she asked. "To have you," Emma's eyes burned. "No one ever says that, Mason." He turned toward her. Neither spoke for a moment. Then she asked quietly, "Want to stay for tea?" Liam smiled. "Sure." They sat at the small kitchenette table, fingers wrapped around mismatched mugs. The tea was bitter, but warm. They talked about work, about movies, about mothers. Emma told him about her pregnancy. How scared she had been, how David walked out, how she once cried in a grocery store aisle because she could not afford both diapers and formula. Liam saw nothing. He just reached across the table and placed his hand gently over hers. Not possessive, just steady. Shed it, not pull away. They never defined what they had. Not love, not dating. Buth texted her good morning every day. She saved his voicemails. He brought Oliver small toys from business trips. She wrote more freely now essays Hereditor called Luminous. They circled each other close enough to feel the heat, unsure if they could survive theft fire. But Emma found herself wondering what? If this wasn't temporary, what if this was real? She did not say it. Neither did he, but neither of them walked away. And for now that was enough. The ballroom shimmered with golden light and whispered elegance. Crystal chandeliers floated above a designer, gowns and tailored tuxedos. Waiters passed flutes of champagne. It was the kind of night where fortunes mingled with fame, and Emma Carter felt wildly out of place till Liam Callan took her hand. Her navy gown, borrowed and understated, contrasted against the opulence. She had never worn anything like it, but Liam looked at her like she was the only one in the room. "You're stunning," he whispered. To believe him. He introduced her simply as Emma. No mention of roles, titles, or pasts, just Emma. And for a moment, it was enough, until a voice sliced through the crowd. "Emma Carter," it said. Smooth, cool, knowing. Emma turned. A woman in Akramson gown stood. Before her, tall, confident, perfect. "Vanessa Caldwell," the woman smiled. "I assume Liam hasn't mentioned me." Emma's chest tightened. "No, he hasn't. We were engaged a long time ago, but in many ways he hasn't changed." Emma swallowed. "I see." Vanessa leaned in, her voice low. "Liam doesn't do love. He does power, control, distraction, but not love. Not with girls like you." Before Emma could respond, Vanessa smiled and walked away, a ghost in red silk. Emma stood. Frozen, the rest of the evening blurred. Laughter, handshakes, polite smiles. But Vanessa's words echoed louder than the music. "Girls like you. Not love, not real love." By the time the final toast ended, Emma felt brittle. Liam leaned in. "You okay? I need air." Outside, the city sparkled beneath the stars. Emma gripped the railing, silent, Liam approached. "Emma, what happened?" She turned, eyes guarded. "You didn't tell me about her." "Us." "She said you were engaged." "That I'm just a distraction." His face tightened. "She said you've never loved anyone." He exhaled slowly. "She's not wrong. I was engaged to her." "Yes." "But it was arranged." "Convenient." "I didn't love her. I didn't love anyone because I didn't let myself." He stepped closer, voice quieter now. "I control everything, Emma. That's how I survived. That's how I built all this. But love, real love, doesn't come with contracts." "And now?" she asked. He met her eyes. "Now. I cancel meetings just to see your smile. I read your articles and feel proud. I hold your son and hope Hemet one day see me as someone worth keeping around." His voice broke slightly. "I didn't know what love was soon till you." Emma blinked fast, her heart thudding. "I don't want to control you," Liam added. "I just want to be near you, to be good to you. If I'm not doing that, tell me." Emma didn't speak. She just reached out and took his hand. And in that simple gesture, without words, she forgave him. And finally, quietly, she trusted him. The relationship between Emma and Liam had quietly shifted from possibility to something real. There were no public declarations or social media announcements, nor romantic cliches, just small, intentional moments. Morning kafisa, waiting on her desk. Liam picking Oliver up when she was stuck in meetings. Late night walks after the boy had gone to sleep. It was steady, gentle, and perhaps that was why it felt so real. Liam had never asked to be part of her world. He just showed up over and over, patient, consistent, and Emma for the first time found herself leaning in instead of pulling away. Oliver adored him. At first he had called Liam uncle, but lately he just said Liam with the kind of familiarity children reserve for people who make them feel safe. Liam knew which dinosaur was his favorite. Could draw them on napkins and always remembered the bedtime story halfway through, even when Emma forgot. They were becoming a family quietly, naturally, without even naming it. And then one night after a long shift, at Callahan Media, Emma's phone buzzed as she stepped out into the cool spring air. She expected a message from Liam. Instead, the name flashing on the screen made her stomach sink. David. She hadn't heard from her ex in nearly a year since its court had awarded her full custody of Oliver. His sudden reappearance wasn't just unexpected, it was Ravine. Emma answered cautiously. "David." His voice was clipped cold. "Wanted to talk." She stiffened. "What about Oliver?" He said simply, then with a pause. "I've spoken to a lawyer. I'm filing for joint custody." The words hit like a punch to the chest. "What?" Emma whispered. "You abandoned us? You're not?" "Stable," David continued, as if he hadn't heard her. "You're dating a billionaire now. That's not a safe environment for Occult. I don't think it's healthy." Emma's hand trembled around the phone. "You left when I was pregnant. You haven't paid child support. You didn't even send a birthday card." "I'm still his father," he said flatly. "I think it's time the courts reassess who's really fit to raise him." Then he hung up. Emma stood frozen on the sidewalk, her breath shallow, panic climbing. Fast, she could barely feel her legs. When Liam pulled up a few minutes later, she climbed into the car without a word. Buth saw her hands shaking, waited until they stopped at a red light, then reached over gently and took her hand. "Emma," he said softly. "What's wrong?" She told him about the call, the threat, the fear. When she finished, she looked out the window. "I'll deal with it," she said. "I always do." But Liam's voice was quiet and firm. "Not this time. You rented alone in this anymore." 3 days later, they met David at a coffee shop in Midtown. Emma didn't want Liam to come, but he insisted. "You need to know someone's in your corner," he had said. David arrived late, his posture defensive, his tone already combative when he spotted Liam. "I don't know why you're here," he said. Liam's voice was calm. "Because I care about Emma and about Oliver. And you've made them both my concern," David scoffed. "You think money makes you a dad." "No," Liam replied. "But disappearing doesn't, dude." David's voice rose, accusing Emma of being unstable, of depending on Liam, of endangering their son by being with someone like him. She can't even pay rent without you, he sneered. She has a stable job, Liam said evenly. She's a published writer. Her son is healthy and happy, and she's never once put herself before that boy. Liam slid a folder across the table. Inside were custody records, doctor reports, Oliver's school evaluations, proof of Emma's income, and statements from her employer. You left, Liam added. There's documentation of that, too. David's confidence faltered. He flipped through the papers, his jaw tight. I can't fight you, he muttered bitterly. You've got lawyers, money, influence. You don't need to fight, Liam said. You'll need to decide what's best for your son. David looked up at Emma, then back at Liam. Just don't hurt them, he said, and left, without another word. Emma sat still, heart pounding. Then slowly she looked across the table. You said you love me, she whispered. Liam's eyes didn't waver. I do. She swallowed hard. I don't know how to do this, but N want to try. He reached across the table, his hand warm, grounding. We'll figure it out, he said. And for the first time in years, Emma felt something powerful rise in her chest. Not fear, not doubt, but hope. 1 week after a thick confrontation with David, things finally began to settle. No more threatening galls, no court documents. Just mornings, filled with Oliver's laughter, afternoons of writing, and quiet evenings with Liam by her side. For the first time in years, Emma felt something she had forgotten existed. Peace. It wasn't dramatic. It lived in everyday rituals. Tea before bed, preschool pickups, and knowing no one was about to rip the ground out from under her. She had stability, a job. Her writing was being published. The quiet courage of a single mother had gone viral. Strangers emailed her saying she gave them hope. Her name was no longer invisible, and Liam wasn't just a part of her life anymore. He was home. That Friday, Hein invited her and Oliver to his apartment for dinner. No chefs, no staff, just the three of them.
History, wine, laughter.
Emma stood barefoot in the kitchen, helping Liam drain noodles while Oliver zoomed around the living room with toy dinosaurs. Remind me why I'm cooking for a billionaire again, she joked. 'Cause I burn everything, he deadpanned. Dinner was messy and real. Juice spilled, bread was overtasted, and yet it was perfect. Later, Liam took her out to the balcony. The skyline sparkled, the city buzzed bellow, but up there everything was still. He turned to her, serious now. Before I met you, he said, everything in my life was calculated. But then I met a woman with tired eyes and a sleeping child on a subway. And suddenly, nothing made sense anymore. Emma held her breath. You and Oliver didn't just enter my life, you gave it meaning. And while I'm not proposing, not yet, I need to ask. He took her hands. Are you ready to build a life with me? Tears welled in her eyes. So many memories surged forward, working double shifts, counting change for diapers, crying in silence. And then Liam, the man who stayed, who showed up, who saw her. Yes, she whispered. I want that. Right then, Oliver appeared, rubbing his eyes. Water, you guys doing? Emma bent down, smiling, saying yes to something real-like. Oliver snuggled into their hug. And in that moment, they were not three separate lives. They were a family. 1 year later, the bookstore was cozy, buzzing. With quiet joy, stacks of Emma's debut memoir, The Light After the Tunnel, lined the tables. Subtitled A Mother's Journey Through Fear, Faith, and a Miracle Named Liam. Readers came in waves, hugging her, asking for signatures, whispering how her story changed theirs. Emma sat at the signing table in a soft blue dress, her hands trembling. Slightly, not from fear, but from joy. And just a few feet away, in the front row, sat the people she loved most. Oliver, now 5, beaming in a button-down shirt he insisted made him look professional. And Liam, calm and proud, his arm resting behind the boy scare. After the last book was signed, Emma walked toward them. Oliver ran toward her. I told my class. You wrote about us. I did, she said, kissing his forehead. Then Liam stood, pulling her into a quiet, full-hearted hug. A camera from a local news outlet snapped a photo just as Emma smiled, glowing at peace. She had not just survived. She had rewritten her life. And so Emma found not just peace after the storm, but purpose, love, and a life she never thought possible. And in the twilight of her life, she was no longer just serving. She was living. Sometimes all it takes is one unexpected man, one kind stranger, to change everything. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Soul-Stirring Stories, where we bring you true and fictional tales that heal, inspire, and remind us all of the power of love, resilience, and second chances. Thank you for watching. See you in the next story.